From Australia, from Sydney, good evening and welcome to Tango One live episode. We have an exciting show tonight. We are going to be talking all about tango. What else? Tango y nada más. I'm your host, Anthony, and it is the idea to get together and spend maybe half an hour together and chat to different tango personnel all around the world. We have some people joined tonight from Singapore. Some people joined us from other parts of the world. I can't really see it, from Melbourne as well. Now, the idea is you are most welcome to send us some questions on YouTube with the live chat, and if those questions reach us on time, we're going to ask our guests to answer those questions. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a great pleasure for me to welcome Rina and Nadim all the way from Melbourne.
Hi.
Hello, Anthony.
Hello. Well, it is surely a great pleasure, and it is absolutely nice to see you both. You're all looking very good.
Likewise. Yeah, very well. Yeah.
Right. Well, there is a lot to know about you. But right now you're in a very difficult lockdown situation, and you've been teaching not too long ago. Now, before I ask you about that, I wanted to ask you, how did you two meet?
Well, Rina was visiting Melbourne from Tokyo, where she lived. Her parents lived here, and so she would come over and visit them. And she basically went to a Malonga. Bill, hi Bill, it's Bill's Malonga. And yeah, we met at a Malonga, and I'd heard about this Japanese girl who was a great dancer who's going to be in Melbourne for a little while. And eventually I managed to get a dance with her, and yeah, we became friends and went from there.
In Malonga, where else?
In a Malonga, where else?
So in other words, tango brought you two together. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Fantastic, right. Well, Nadim, you are actually a kendoka. It's a person who does kendo.
Yes.
It's a modern Japanese martial art, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah,
right.
It's I think it's like the biggest martial art in Japan. Kids from primary school and all the way up to 90-year-olds do it. It's a great sport.
Well, it is. In the preparation of this program, I thought I'll just better look at it. It looks a bit kind of like when they go. Does it hurt when they like go into you? It's a bamboo type of material, isn't it?
Yeah, you're wearing armor, so you have bogu, which is your armor.
Right.
And it flexes, the actual shinai, the sword flexes a little bit. So, yeah, it's a sport for personal growth, mentally and physically. So, yeah, kids and everyone does it, so it doesn't really hurt. It's just a lot of shouting,
very good,
loud noises.
But it looks amazing in the black and with that protection up there. Wow.
Yeah, there's a lot of crossover between. And dance, funnily enough, you know, how you use your axis, follow through everything else. Yeah, it's very interesting.
Right.
Interestingly enough, I think Kendo was the inspiration for a very much loved movie all over the world. The armor and the sport, or the martial art itself. I think, if I'm not mistaken, is that right?
Which movie?
Star Wars.
Oh yeah, Star Wars was inspired.
Fabulous. You know, it is very hard not to notice in the background in your room, there are some instruments. You also do cello, as I understand.
Yes. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, so
actively?
I've been sort of playing for a while. Yeah, I did some in high school and kept it up and picked it up again in my late 20s. And as of a few weeks ago, our 6 is taking cello lessons. So yeah, it's great. Unfortunately, there's not too much. It's always a shame.
Right.
A few orchestras had some cello. I'm sure you'd be able to tell me.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, Rina, you are from Japan. Yeah. And
Yes.
Japan is one of the countries that had tango for enormous time. Historically, looking at all the big orchestras being there, Japan is one of the most important tango destinations outside of Buenos Aires. Everybody feels special when they go and dance in Japan. You have a lot experience teaching in Japan.
I think in Japan, as you say, tango has a very rich history because of the music that was first imported into Japan from quite early on. And I think Japanese people have an affinity towards tango music in that sense. There was a very famous Japanese tango singer as well, Ranko Fujisawa, very well known. So I think even before the dance came among the Japanese people and the culture, there was always that love of music and connection to the music. And then the dance came after that.
And you've been teaching there?
Yes. So
Right.
I originally started, that's where I first started tango. And I was very lucky or fortunate to have studied under some wonderful mentors, dancers, teachers, starting in Japan, gradually starting to teach, also doing performances and shows there as well, before coming to Australia. So that was very early on in my career.
Yeah. And Japan is, which part of Japan?
Tokyo.
Tokyo, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Amazing city for sure. And do you find there is a difference in perception in students when you teach? Because now you teach here in Melbourne, and any perception-wise in students, any difference? Anything that you may see it that people absorb tango in one way or the other way?
Well, I think one of the wonderful things about tango is that it not only brings its own culture, but is also able to really blend beautifully with the local cultures as well. And as you say, the differences in the culture, how people study, how they approach lessons differ. For example, in Japan, people are very studious, or the image is very studious. So they would be at lessons, rain, whether it's rainy, whether it's stormy, whatever happens, students are there, earthquake maybe.
Right.
And I certainly wouldn't say students here in Australia are less studious. I mean, in fact, our students are amazing. They always come to class, they work very, very hard. But there is a difference in the culture and how people approach things. And for example, in Japan, perhaps Japanese people aren't that used to being close to people, less hugging and kissing, even in the culture in general. So there are differences like that.
Right. And you went to Japan not too long ago. I remember when we met last year, actually, late last year. Then you said that you were just about to go to Japan.
Yeah, when was it? June? July?
In June.
Yeah. How was that? It was a championship, or it was?
We initially went for a couple of reasons. Rina was invited to Kyoto for a Parkinsons seminar. What was it?
Yes. And so I went to the World Parkinson's Congress in Kyoto last year, and this was in support of a very well-known researcher that I work, sometimes together with in my work of using tango for people with Parkinson's. So that was one of the reasons. So we were able to enjoy Kyoto, and yes, we also entered the championships. Got to meet my old friends, visiting them with their various milongas. So we did a lot. We went to Disneyland as well with our daughter, which was fantastic, of course.
Yeah.
So it was lovely.
Yeah, you are quite much involved with that part of disease, the Parkinson's disease, and helping people to handle it somehow. You're doing it every day or weekly or?
Yes, so I originally got interested in the idea of how we can use tango and how it can benefit people with Parkinson's. And this was due to my father being diagnosed with Parkinson's. And at that time, I was still in Tokyo when I heard about his diagnosis. And I didn't know anything about Parkinson's. So I did a little bit of research, looked it up. And to my great surprise, I came across some studies that thought that tango could be beneficial for people having Parkinson's. So from there, I thought, great, I'm teaching tango. This is what I do. I'd like to look into this further. So that's how my interest grew originally. At the moment, I am running weekly group sessions for people with Parkinson's and also involved in various studies at universities from time to time. So that is one large part of my interest and work.
It is quite interesting, actually, that tango is used in different areas. I remember looking into one research, actually, that Jacqueline did with one psychologist who was doing her PhD degree at the time, that is used for meditation as well. So surely tango is much wider, much bigger than many of us would even imagine. Like that.
Yes, absolutely. I think there's already so much research out there, various fields. Us as dancers, we know how beneficial tango is for ourselves, both physically and mentally as well.
Yeah, and I think tango is something that you can do when you're young, and when you're, in your 90, you could be 100
when
and
you're
still
not
do
that
tango.
young, you mean?
No, you're not that young, yeah. So I think it's just because of it doesn't have any physical limitations. Like some other dances, you have to be flexible, otherwise it doesn't quite work. And I think you get better. As you said, with kendo, it's the same, The 60, 70-year-olds are quite often the really good ones. They're better than the 20-year-olds,
Right.
Yeah, so I think because it's accessible at different parts of your life, different, groups of people. Yeah. It's sort of a dance for the world.
Yeah. Well, look, you've been mentioning that you went to some sort of competition in Tokyo last year, but also you went to mundial 2 years ago, or it was last year as well.
No, we haven't gone to mundial. We went to the Japanese competition, which is a subsidiary that goes to the mundial competition.
Oh, I see. Right. I understand.
So that feeds into the mundial, yes.
Right. Well, does in general the championships and mundial right now is very modern topic because it's happening, I believe, online. Now, does championship enriches or helps our tango to progress? What do you think?
Big question.
I think it's how you approach it. If you approach it in the sense that you can really utilize the opportunity to work on certain things, be more open to progress, look at different ways of training, I think certainly can be very beneficial. From our experience of entering the championships in Japan, what was really wonderful for us was backstage, the friendship
Right.
and mixing with dancers all over the country, not only the country, but from all over Asia was really wonderful for us.
Yeah.
And just, getting inspired by the beautiful dancers there, the friendships that we made, and just really motivates us, and we got extra energy through that.
Yeah.
So that's been our experience.
Yeah, I think it's great advertisement for tango in general. It's like anything; it's always a two-edged sword, right? On one hand, it's fantastic because more people are doing tango probably now than 20 years ago or 10 years ago. So that's a positive. The other side is, I guess people have a mundial style of dancing now. So quite often you see everyone kind of dancing the same a little bit. But that's a natural thing that's bound to happen, I think. But we had Maximiliano Cristiani a couple of years ago in our studio. We were hosting, and he was talking about that to everybody. And because obviously he won, as you know.
Yes.
And he said, look, it doesn't mean that he's the best dancer in the world. He said all it would have taken is one different judge on that day, and he would have scored it differently, and then someone else would have won. So like Rina was saying, he said you just have to take it into perspective. It's a great thing to do, but it doesn't mean you're the number one dancer in the world.
Sure. But, I remember actually when there was qualifications here held in Sydney, actually, and it was for the whole Australia. And
Long time ago,
we all paid attention how we dance, and I always felt that we all progressed more. We were more careful how we do things, and I think from that perspective this is good. Yeah, but I do agree with you that it's a matter of a moment, right, of the decision who is number one at the time.
Yeah. When Maxi was here, we had a mini mundial in our studio just for the local people, and he was the judge.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and so it was a lot of fun, and the people leading up to it were training really hard, and you could see the difference in their dancing. So yeah, absolutely. Yeah, as long as you don't take it too seriously and get upset and.
No, yeah. We've been thinking about Melbourne a lot, hearing about the situation, about the lockdown, and it must have been and must be very hard to start with the classes and get adjusted to this new normal, and then again being in a lockdown situation. You are right now in a total lockdown. How does that look like?
So yeah, at the moment we have a curfew, so everybody has to be home by 8 p.m.
Only allowed out for exercise 1 hour a day.
Yeah. And you're not allowed to travel more than 5 kilometers away from your home. So it's really tough. As you know, we own a studio. Coincidentally, the studio, which was previously owned by David and Diane, who ran Sidewalk Tango, they had it for 17 years. They sold the business to us 3 years ago. So this year's actually the 20th anniversary of this studio that's had tango for 20 years. So it's an unusual way to celebrate. But hopefully we can do something special, at least by the end of the year, to commemorate the 20 years.
Yeah, that would be nice.
We just have to
it does deserve.
We take it day by day.
I see, right. But when you are having the studio, and Nadim, you do something else as well, not tango, but you have other sources,
Yeah, so I work as an IT business analyst. Yeah.
Well, yeah, all right. But it would be quite difficult right now to run any classes. There is no group classes, obviously.
So at the moment, we're doing some classes online. And the classes are, the majority are individual technique classes. Could be musicality, body conditioning, drills, things like that. Because the majority are, there are a few lucky people who have a partner in-house, but other than that, we just have to, do and keep training what we can do. We do have a couples choreography class as well. Right. So we do have a few classes going, and we're really enjoying and learning a lot about teaching online and all the technology that comes with it.
Yeah, we did start up in the studio about a month, 6 weeks ago, and you could with limited numbers and everything else. However, we had a second outbreak in Melbourne, and then we went back into lockdown, so that stopped again. So it's getting better. Numbers are getting better, but they have to do what they have to do, and we just make.
This current lockdown is planned for 6 weeks. We've just crossed the halfway mark, so we have another 3 weeks to go. So we'll see how we go.
Right. Well, a couple of people, just if you don't mind, I'll just share it with you here.
Yeah.
Hiro Toyo said hi. Then Terry, he was totally surprised that the sidewalk tango was 20 years ago when it started.
Yeah.
Bora also said hello and watching from home. Terry as well. So a couple of people saying hello to you. It's very nice. Very nice to have them around. Yeah. And so there is a response there for online classes from the students. That's a different way of teaching, isn't it? Then when you are in front of the people, I find it somewhat simpler. I don't know about you, but the online is more challenges, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. I think, obviously, ideally, you want to be face-to-face dancing with the students and, be there real time. With online, like I said, we do what we can. However, we're working hard. We had to adjust a few things, but the feedback from the students has been great, saying, helps people get through the days, feel a little bit more connected, and, always feeling happy after the class, just connecting with someone, even if it's virtually, listening and moving to the beautiful music and working on something and just getting your mind off what's our, daily struggles or challenges that we're facing at the moment.
Yeah, like I'm doing some kendo classes via Zoom that an instructor runs. And, it's obviously not the same. But it's nice to see the people that used to see and train with, and, just a sense of having something on, I think really helps. Yeah, we had a Zoom session yesterday, actually. And it was just a free class that we put out there for everybody. And it was just, to do some training with us, but also just to see everyone's faces and, and it was really nice.
The aim of the event that we did yesterday was to connect with the community. So just calling out to the community, pop on, have a class with us, wave to each other, see each other, some familiar faces, and we had a wonderful turnout. And I think people were really happy and excited just to see each other, get some movement in, dancing. So that I think the seat really well.
Yeah, and I think it's an opportunity for dancers to maybe spend more time listening to the music, watch some performances of amazing dancers around the world. So we still have something And as a DJ, you would understand the importance of, and the fun of discovering new music, getting into the lyrics. There's lots to do to keep you busy.
Oh, for sure. But there are many online classes anyway, mostly from Buenos Aires, but also from Europe as well, and some from Asia, in fact. And they're all very interesting. And however, I noticed that you recognize quickly, okay, well, this will lead me somewhere, or maybe next time I'll watch it.
Yeah. We're at a point, like Rina said, we're experimenting with different ways to teach. We've now got multiple cameras set up. So you'll see this, and then you'll have another camera just at the feet level, and so you switch between cameras. So you do your best. You do your best. I think as long as you just keep something going in you, tango-wise.
You'll for sure. Okay. There is one thing that I wanted to ask you, actually, both of you, naturally. When we meet at the Milonga, we say, oh, he or she's a good dancer. What does it take to be a good dancer? How do you see that, okay, he's a good dancer or she's a good dancer? What is it for you?
I think for me anyway, that's very subjective, like tango and dancing. I think at the end of the day, what it really means is whether you enjoyed dancing with that person or not.
I think same for me. Someone who just has a good attitude in the dance. They're willing to really engage. They're dancing with you and not for their friends to show something. That's what it really is. It's just the attitude that you bring to the dance. For me, it's not a technical thing at all. It's just have that nice connection there. They're willing to share something with you. That's what a good dancer is for me. Yeah, and of course there's technical considerations, but it doesn't guarantee anything,
Yeah. Well, surely I heard that and experienced as well, that it may be someone who is quite new to the dance, and yet you say, wow, this was a good dance. And it could be that someone dancing for a very long time said, okay, well, this was all right, but the other one was very good. It's hard to explain for sure.
Yeah, and also your definition of what you look for changes as you become more mature in the dance. More mature in your tango, more mature in your life. You look for different things. Think about music. You think about what you liked tango-wise at the beginning of your tango career and what you enjoy now. It changes. Goes back, and it doesn't necessarily get better or worse, it just changes. And sometimes you go back to the beginning,
Right. Okay, time has gone so quickly, believe it or not, but we just switched to half an hour. But I have one last question before we finish. What would you like to see in tango differently after COVID restrictions have eased?
Yeah. Differently compared to what it was before?
What it was before.
I think just in general, people are going to be more appreciative of what tango is, what we have, to dress up. It's just going to mean more. I don't think anything needs to change. Nothing needs to change as such for me.
I just think there's definitely going to be, a lot more appreciation of whether it's in the classes, just working with someone, dancing with someone, and each embrace that you have, each tanda that you have of the night is going to mean just a little bit much more
Yeah, I think people will hopefully ask others who they haven't danced with before, because they're just so happy to be back at Milonga and they just want to dance, and before they may have had their favourites, but once this is all over, perhaps they'll be more open to dancing with newer people.
Hopefully that will come soon, no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, I certainly had a great time talking to you both and wishing you a very, very fast type of time for the lockdown to go and everything gets smoothened out and we are all back to the dance floor very soon. Rina and Nadim,
absolutely.
Thank you very much for your time and for your
Thank
sincerity.
you. Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Congratulations
Bye-bye.
on
Good
the
night.
series as well. Take care.